All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So, what I'm going to talk about is your calling. Or if you've ever, thought throughout your life, I have to do this because that's what I'm destined to do. And I get it. I kind of felt that way when I was making films or wanting to make films throughout my life. I'm like, my calling is to be a filmmaker. But as time went on, I realized I wanted to do way more than just make films. But prior to that, all I thought that I should do or become is a filmmaker, because I always found myself obsessed with making the concept of making films and going to the movies, anything that had to do with film. And I guess TV to a certain degree, but more film driven, movie theaters, I don't care what it was, screenplays, all those things. And I kind of always carried that saying, that's my true destiny and that's my calling. And then when I went to go do it, I loved doing it. But I think I had kind of the open-mindedness to say I can do way more than this, and I can kind of break away and experiment and try other things. But I do think a lot of people, though, think that something is their calling, and they may never get to the place where they truly found what they wanted to do, or they went and did it, or they found their calling, went after it, and kind of didn't succeed, or they kind of went after their calling, they got there, and it was nothing like what they thought it would be. And they kind of get locked into that. And that's kind of what I want to touch upon on this podcast, because I think for the most part, a lot of us inside think there's something we were meant like to be or do, and we're kind of searching it out. I think some people do definitely, obviously, find things when they're younger and they know what their calling is and they go for it and they achieve it. And I'll just use, for instance, maybe these like certain musicians or certain artists or certain people in business you just knew. And I have family members and friends. They knew when they were younger what they wanted to do, what they were meant to do, and they kick it in the ass and they do it. God bless them. But I do think there's a lot of other people who feel like they have a calling. And like I said earlier a little bit, they start heading toward that, or they reach that, and it's not what they expected. Or another thing is, too, a lot of times we may think we're going to be great at something and we're going to excel, and it would be like, say, me in the movie industry, and I'm going to do this, certain films, and then I'm going to be in Hollywood, and all these things are going to happen for me. They don't happen, and you kind of feel like a failure to a certain degree. I think this happens with people as well with their calling. As they get there, they think maybe, hey, let's just use a musician, for instance, or a businessman, maybe either one. But it could be a stock trader or a musician, and they both say, hey, man, it's what I was destined to do, man. They keep playing music, or they start to go work, at the stock market or start investing, and they fail. Or they just aren't that good at what they're doing, and other people are just surpassing them. It may be stressing them out. It could make them broke, homeless, in debt, all these different types of things. And it could be heartbreaking. I mean, that's the truth of the matter is, a lot of us, let's face it, we have these dreams, and a lot of times we're going after them, and they never get close to where we thought we could get, right? A lot of times. I mean, a lot of us, I would say, or thought throughout their life is, hey, yeah, man, I'm going to become a millionaire pretty easily by the time I'm 30 or 40. If I do this, I'm going to excel here. Or at least by I'm 40, then you're 50, and you may even be thinking, oh, I could be a millionaire. I mean, how many people are really getting there, right, compared that are not? And I'm not telling anybody to not go after their dreams or go after money or go do whatever you want to do. But when it comes to your calling, this is the one thing I will say, because I'm trying to keep these podcasts short, is don't sell yourself short. You may have a bunch of different things or a bunch of different callings. Now, I'm not telling you to flip-flop every year or two, because I understand it takes, believe me, more than a lot of people, a substantial amount of time to succeed in anything. But don't box yourself in. And I'm going to actually do a podcast on this regarding degrees. A lot of people get a certain degree in college or wherever, and then they box themselves in for the rest of their life. And then as time goes on, they're like, man, I don't even have an interest in this anymore. When I was 20, I liked it. Now I'm in my 40s, I despise it. But I think what our callings too, like, you may think your calling is one thing. You may be missing out. There may be other things that you don't even realize that are your true calling, or something that you'd like even more than what you originally thought was your calling. And you just got to really become creative too. And I talk a lot about in life experimenting. Because even though I'll just use for an example, maybe I started off wanting to be a filmmaker and write screenplays, and it segued into me writing a couple books and then a program, and now I have a YouTube podcast, which I would have never expected to have. And now I'm trying other different things. And what was my true calling kind of at the beginning was a filmmaker. I still wouldn't mind making films once in a while, but I was kind of open-minded to say at this point in time, my calling has changed. I've kind of pivoted. I want to experiment and try this. I, again, never expected to be an author or write books. I wouldn't even consider myself truly a author in the sense of the word, but I definitely do a lot more writing than I know of anyone else in my life or around me, not only for books, but writing content up for everything that I'm doing. Different programs, my image consulting, my anti-aging stuff, all these different types of things. I'm always writing things up. So maybe you are someone like that as well that should just kind of, be a little more open-minded and experiment with different things. And I always talk about go where your energy leads you. Okay, don't sell yourself short. And do not be afraid to also say, this is what I'm going to wrap it up with officially. A lot of us, like even me, when you box yourself in and say, okay, I am only a filmmaker and that's all I want to be known as and this is it, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what, maybe I want to do something different. You're afraid to tell others, or you're afraid to change your identity. You don't want to look weak or like you're a flip-flopper or you're a failure. That's not the case. And most people aren't going to look at you like that. I promise you. They're going to support you, the ones that love you. If you start changing and saying, you know what, my calling was to do this. Now my calling or whatever, I want to go another route. Don't sell yourself short. Go after it. I'm telling you, keep moving forward. All right? And keep going for what you want to go after. All right? I'm going to wrap it up there. If you have any questions or comments, you can hit me up. I'm at richcelenza.com, and I am starting an anti-aging experience is what I'm trying, because I want a lot of people of all ages to take care of themselves. It's not just about looking youthful, even though that's part of it. I just want people to help to, take care of themselves and help others take care of themselves as well. All right? Questions or comments, just hit me up. Take care.